Albedo, Khaenri'ah. All character stories. A genius known as the Khaenri'ah, he is the chief alchemist and captain of the investigation team of the Knights of Favonius. Albedo, an alchemist based in Mondstadt, in the service of the Knights of Favonius. Genius, Khaenri'ah, or captain of the investigation team. Such titles and honors are of no consequence to him when there is so much research to conduct. The pursuit of fortune and connections cannot hold a candle to his heart's desire, acquiring the limitless, obscure knowledge left behind by previous generations of scholars. Character details. Alchemy is an ancient art, and many of its secrets have been lost to history. The few commonly known alchemy techniques of today are but enough to put some broken odds and ends together, saving you the money you would have otherwise spent on glue. Nay, alchemy is not so ignoble an art, or so many alchemists would protest. But so far as the average citizen of Mondstadt was concerned, that was alchemy. At least, until the day Albedo suddenly appeared and decided to stay in Mondstadt. This young man displayed the true prowess of alchemy to all, bringing with him a massive corpus of wisdom that even the Sumeru Academia did not possess. The universe is heaven reversed, and the earth is a dream lost to time. This is dust, the most basic form of complex life. As if to provide evidence for this claim, Albedo lifted the burnt ash of a flower that once grew atop a dendroslime's head. Seconds later, a Cecilia sprouted forth from the ash in his hand. And this is new birth. Character Story 1. Albedo has a very important job within the Knights of Favonius, but does not often appear in public. Still, he does not have the strange and eccentric temper that people tend to assume of academics. In fact, he is earnest in all his dealings. He is, however, of the persuasion that it requires more energy to maintain relationships established on excessive enthusiasm. As a result, Albedo's equivalent of friendship involves maintaining an appropriate degree of distance, whether shutting himself away to work or traveling and gathering materials. No one in Mondstadt knows how to find him. Albedo's tendency to avoid social interactions does not make him a cold-hearted person. He is sincere and contented when instructing his assistants, Timaeus and Sucrose. He finds pleasure in giving his sketches to the citizens of Mondstadt. Yet he cannot help but feel sincere disappointment that Lisa, for all her great talents, has chosen to remain a mere librarian. Character Story 2. Albedo only got into Mondstadt because of his master's recommendation letter. On some level, this statement is true. Nevertheless, Mondstadt's gates are ever open to all, and a recommendation letter is not strictly necessary. Indeed, it could be argued that Albedo's life would have been far more comfortable without the letter. This is because the recipient of the letter was the famed travel writer Alice, an old friend of Albedo's master, Rheindotter. After receiving the letter, Alice considered its requests. "So, Rhine said that you'll need a laboratory, and not one of the size that a civilian could build either." I know." And just like that, she threw him into the Knights of Favonius. The work of the Knights is actually quite easy for Albedo, requiring only 5% of his energy. Albedo had imagined that the rest of his energy could be spent on experiments, with the Knight's full range of apparatus at his disposal. And yet, Alice had a daughter named Klee. Yes, that Klee. We'll be a family from now on. Treat her like a real younger sister. And from that day forth, remedying Klee's disasters would come to take up most of Albedo's remaining energy. Character Story 3. Albedo has no memory of any blood relations. From birth, he was already adventuring deep within domains with his master. Of course, Miss Alice, the Knights of Favonius, and that traveler who had a sense of the stellar depths about them. They are all important, and yet his master is unquestionably the most special to him. For Albedo, she is his only kin. She was a cold and strict woman who raised him and taught him the secrets of alchemy. The universe is a dark essence of the true starry sky, and the earth is the accumulated memories of time and lives. The chalk, that is you. The earth is where alchemy gets its name, and is the basis of all life. And this? She demonstrated her technique before him, as a huge life form burst from its culture tank in a shower of shattered fragments. This is new birth. Character Story 4. Albedo once led a simple and content existence. There was no need for him to contemplate anything. Life was uneventful. Its meaning consisted of nothing more than accompanying his teacher, doing what she asked of him, and meeting her expectations. But one day, deep in the heart of a dungeon, master and apprentice discovered an artifact known as the Heart of Niberius. And with that, his master disappeared, leaving naught but a note, a recommendation letter, and a classical text behind. Upon the note was written, quote, "Albedo, go to Mondstadt, find my old friend Alice, and give her the recommendation letter. Then complete your final assignment." Unquote. The classical text was one of the latest extant manuscripts of the Opus Magnum from his master's collection. If one were to push the definition a little, she had left him another gift, the title of Khaenri'ah, and with it a written acknowledgement that she had nothing further to teach him. In the past, Albedo's assignments had always been very difficult. He had always believed wholeheartedly that his master would make good on her threat to leave him should he fail. But this assignment she had left him was far too hard, far beyond the limit of his abilities. Did this mean, then, that he was fated to never complete it, and thus never see his master again? Your final assignment: show me the truth and the meaning of this world. Character Story 5. The alchemy that Albedo commands is wholly different from any of the arts practiced in the 7 nations of Teyvat. Its lineage can be traced back to the nation of Khaenri'ah. Khaenri'ah was an underground realm with precious few natural fauna. As such, its alchemy focused more heavily on the creation of life. This art of creation was known as the art of chimia. Albedo had learned of this in his youth from reading his master's notes. The next stage after soil is chalk, which was also something his master had mentioned. Chalk is the spotless soil, and was used to make primordial man. Now, Albedo understands alchemy in far greater depth than he did in the beginning, and his knowledge on the subject is far more comprehensive. From soil was birthed chalk. The profundity of this statement is well understood by Albedo now. Such ineffable secrets are bound up with his fond memories of his master. She was not his birth mother, but there is no doubt that his life stems from her. I hope this isn't just wishful thinking, but when parents speak to their children about the meaning of this world, surely they just mean the pursuit of a happy life? From time to time, Albedo finds himself musing on this sentiment. Albedo's artwork. Albedo's interest in drawing and painting began back in the days of traveling with his master. At first, he would simply illustrate his notes with basic sketches, but he soon noticed that the process of rendering things in great detail helped him to intimately understand their physical makeup, which was of great utility to his alchemical studies. Additionally, it allowed him to enter into a pleasant state of clarity in which he needed only to focus on observing and creating his artwork, and nothing else. Eventually, Albedo became a master artist without ever having received formal tuition. When strolling through Mondstadt, he enjoys sketching and painting all manner of living things, but particularly people in moments of joy. Sometimes he even gifts his artwork to his unsuspecting models, believing that when a work of art captures a transient moment of enjoyment, it is something worth treasuring. Albedo continued to refine his skills in this manner, going from strength to strength, until one day he was taken aback by illustrations from Inazuma. How was it that drawings of such generality could possess such narrative power? Amazed, he decided to give it a go himself. Eventually, after collaborating with a certain novelist by the name of Xingqiu, A Legend of Sword was printed and published. Unfortunately, it received lukewarm reviews, being lambasted as a dictionary with divine illustrations. Vision. Gaining a vision came as no great surprise to Albedo. When he received it, he gave it a single glance before continuing to engross himself in his work. He barely felt any wave of emotion at all, as if this was something to be taken for granted. As far as he is concerned, his vision is merely a tool with which he can more conveniently conduct his research. What truly sparks joy within him is turning the unknown into the known. One day, he will understand all there is to know about this world, and visions are no exception.